Are there people that God can't save? Yes, there are people that God can't save. I'm reminded of a story. One time I got in a taxi cab, I started talking to the driver, and he began telling me about a liver disease he'd had, and basically he was unable, because of money, he was unable to pay for the proper tests, and so he wasn't able to get the proper medication. He'd been very sick. And I asked him, I said, have you ever had prayer for your liver? And he looked at me for 2 or 3 minutes, and he kind of stared, and he says, he had an aunt that lived out of state, and she had told him that she had been praying for him. As I began telling him about all the miracles and healings I've seen Jesus Christ do. I've seen him heal broken bones instantly. I've seen him heal cancer. I've seen him heal all kinds of diseases. I've seen him grow limbs. I've seen him grow a finger one time. In other words, there's nothing impossible for him. And I says, and he said, well, he thought that Jesus Christ was a good man. He thought he was a prophet, but he don't believe that he was a son of God. He does not believe that he was the Messiah. And I says, well, he was the Messiah. He was the biggest sham that's ever been played on mankind. And without having a Messiah, accepting Jesus Christ as in your place upon that cross, I says, we're all destined for a lake of fire, hell. He said he didn't believe in a lake of fire. And I says, well, it's in the Bible 54 separate times. Heaven's in there 704 times. I says, whether you believe it or not. I says, why would God put something 54 times up that didn't exist? Why would he put heaven 704 times if it didn't exist? I says, in the Bible, the Bible says let there be 3 witnesses. What that means, well, if I read something in the Bible and I can't find it 2 other places in the Bible, I misread it. I misunderstood something. I said, that's for our protection. I said, the Bible, Jesus had fulfilled over 300 Bible prophecies to be the Messiah. In other words, any man can say that I'm the Messiah, I'm the Lord, but I says only Jesus Christ fulfilled them all. 300. He had to die at a certain time, a day. He had to be raised at a certain time. I said he is the Messiah, and so. But as he dropped me off, and basically as I went into my motel room, I started thinking of our conversation. And with tears in my eyes, I began thinking about the man, how he had been deceived, how he'd been lied to, and because of this, he was destined for a lake of fire. And as I thought back, and I thought how many people have been deceived, and I also thought of a story about Zadok, and he lived in Jerusalem at the time of Jesus, when Jesus' ministry was in full blossom. Zadok was a leader of Israel, and I'd give you an instance. This is part of his day. He'd get up early in the morning, he'd hurry and eat, he'd put on his baggiest clothes, he'd put dirt on his face, and then he'd put his prayer shawl on. He loved his prayer shawl because when he strut down the street, people would know that he meant business. He was a leader of Israel, and when they seen him, they knew that he was just as important as Moses. And what he liked about his tassels on his prayer cloth. He loved these tassels because Moses had written that it has to be put on the hems of your garments with blue thread attached to your garment. And his was longer than everyone else's, so he was very proud of that. Well, as he would strut down the street, he knew what everybody was thinking. He knew how they thought, what a wise man he was, how a precious man, how he loved Israel, how he prayed for Israel. And they all looked up to him. And he arrived at the temple one morning on a June day, and as he looked around, and he was always the first one there because he wanted to impress everybody that he was the first one there, down on his knees and praying. And pretty soon nobody came in. He continued to pray, and no one come in. He finally went outside. He said, "Where is everybody?" And they said, "Oh, everybody's down there watching Jesus the prophet. Jesus is healing. He's opening blind eyes." He said, if they're crippled, if they're lame, he says he heals them, they can walk. He says, there's nothing he can't do. He's healing all their sicknesses, all their diseases. And Zadok was a little upset about this. He was mad. He was really upset. I'm going to go give that high priest a piece of my mind. Why didn't he send that Jesus to me with a letter so I could introduce him, so what everyone would know that, other words, they would that I would have a little glory from introducing this prophet of God. He wasn't mad because Jesus was healing it, right? He was mad because no one know that he come with him. So anyway, he took off for the high priest home. He arrived at the high priest home, and as he got closer, there was all kind of yelling going on, screaming. Man, people were upset, and he made his way into the high priest, and he went over and took his seat, and no one even noticed he come in the door. He says they were just yelling. They were just mad. He says, "Who is this man? Who is him?" He says, "We're nothing but vipers and snakes." Don't he realize? Don't he know who he's talking to? Don't he know that we're the leaders of Israel? Who does he think he is to talk to us like that? We're the chosen leaders of Israel. He talks to us. Who is he to call us the vipers and snakes? They were upset. And about that time, Isaac, the rabbi in charge of the Nazareth synagogue, he stood up and he says, I know this Jesus. I know him. I've known him since he was young. He's always been a very good man. He says he knows the scriptures better than anyone I know. I didn't know he was a prophet, but he says maybe we should listen to him. He's a good man. He's nothing but a carpenter's son. He's fooled you. He's hypnotized you. Then pretty soon Nicodemus spoke up. Nicodemus says, I've been to see this Jesus. No one can do the things he's doing without God. He has to be from God. We better pay attention to him. Sit down! Who do you think you are, Nicodemus? Sit down. We don't want to hear from you no more. He might fool you, but he don't fool us. We know the scriptures. They were all upset. Pretty soon, the high priest spoke up. He said, I don't know about you boys, but he says, I kind of like being a high priest. He says, I think we ought to kill this man. It's better one die for Israel than all die. They all agreed. Nicodemus, no. Asa, no. This is a good man. He's at least a prophet. Asa said Asa tried to speak up again and say, well, no, this man knows too much. He knows the scriptures like he wrote them. Nicodemus says, I've never seen no one with this kind of knowledge. I've never seen anyone do the miracles that he has done. Pretty soon, Jesus was crucified on the cross. Zadok died. A couple years later, he woke up. He woke up in hell. And when he woke up, he could hear mashing of teeth. It was total darkness. He couldn't see his hand in front of his face. And he thought, where am I? Where am I?